to our class for today. So on Sunday, we met and we did microeconomics. Yesterday, we were doing advanced management principles. Today, we are doing understanding marketing. So remember what I said yesterday. At the end of this course, you should have the necessary skills to be a manager in the workplace. So one of those skills that is needed for you to be a manager in the workplace is your ability to understand marketing, how to promote the different products that an organization has. And for that, we have got our marketing expert, Mr. Jabulani, who is going to be taking us through understanding marketing. So please listen attentively. He will take care of you. Me, I'll see you guys on Thursday. That's when I will see you. But for today, you've got Mr. Jabu. Mr. Jabu? Jabulani?
Yes, Mr. James,
Yes,
I'm
you
here.
can go ahead. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Good evening to you all. I hope and trust that I find you well. As James just said, my name is Jabulani, and I will be your, let me say, facilitator for this understanding marketing approaches. Right. So basically, tonight we are not going to do much, but what we're going to do is maybe to introduce. Okay. Okay, I think where can we access previous recordings? I think maybe James would answer that one later. Okay, so for now, let's deal with this particular module. Right, right. So basically, to the session tonight, we are going to be focusing on the introduction of marketing. In other words, what we are going to do is we are going to, get ourselves familiar with with the module, right? However, I regard this first session as the most important session because it lays the foundation of what we're going to see in the coming topics. So the concepts or the few concepts that we're going to discuss tonight, you'll continuously see them in the next topics. Hence, like what James said, it is important that we listen attentively. Right. Now, let me highlight the reason why we are here first. We are here so that we can pass with what? With distinction. Right. That's the only reason why we are here. Right. So let's begin. Right. Now these sessions usually they take 1 hour, right? But for today, I think we are going to, to, to have maybe 30 or 40 minutes. But as we move along, we'll be having maybe a maximum of 1 hour, 30 minutes, because I will be doing 2 topics per session. Now, this module consists of 14 topics, right? And we need to complete these topics maybe 3 or 4 weeks before the exam. So we have to push so that we can complete. Maybe it's one of the longest modules, right? In terms of all the modules that you are doing. Right. So we need to complete all these these 14 topics. So I'll send you the slides after each and every session. And then I'll also prepare detailed notes that you can also read through. Now, these detailed notes, they are simplified so that you can understand everything better. Right. So let's go straight into our module. Right. So this is basically my motto. Right. So good marketing is not an accident, but the result of careful planning and execution. Now, many people believe that marketing is something that is simple, but marketing is something that requires careful planning and execution. Right. So, but then what really is marketing? Now, many people, when they hear the word marketing, what comes into their minds is things like advertising, selling, etc. But marketing is more than that. Marketing is business. Right. So let's look at maybe the definition. So I'll read the definition and then I'll just try to break it down so that I can try to simplify it and then we can all understand exactly what is marketing. Because the definition of marketing is actually going to cover everything from module from topic 1 to topic 14. So everything will be centered around this particular definition. So here marketing can be defined. Now, this is a definition from Kotler. Now, Philip Kotler is one of the marketing gurus. Right? So he defined marketing as a social and managerial process in which individuals or groups obtain what they want through creating and exchanging value with others. Right. So let me break it down. Right. So the first thing is the social process. Now, what is the social process? Now, in terms of marketing, we are talking about the interaction that takes place between the organization and the customers, right? And then the managerial process, we are talking about the strategies now that are implemented to meet the needs of these customers. Remember, a company can only identify the needs or expectations of customers through interaction, through the social process. So it becomes a social process and at the same time a managerial process, right? In which individuals or groups obtain what they want. Now, how do you obtain what you want, right? It is through the creation and exchanging of value. So what is value, right? We are trying to break it down. Now, value is the benefit that is derived from something. Now, we are saying that, it's an organization that creates that value. So how does an organization create value? It provides products and services. So now a customer needs something, right? If it is cold, if the weather is cold, right? There's a problem that it is cold. So to satisfy, myself, I have to buy something that keeps me warm. So by buying something that keeps me warm, if I buy it and I get home, it means that I have obtained value. But then there's an exchange of that value. I don't just go and get, if it is a jacket, I just don't go into or walk into a shop and then get a jacket. I have to pay something in exchange of that jacket. So the money that I give to the organization, it is value to that organization. And then I obtain the jacket that will keep me warm. That's the value that I get. So basically, it is a social process, right? Whereby the organization interacts with the customer so that the organization can be able to determine exactly what the customer expects. And then the managerial process is when the organization now brings that value to me. And then I give that organization money. So the money that I get, that's the exchange of value that we are talking about. So the value that an organization gets, it is the profit, right? And then the value that customers get, it is the benefits that is derived from that product or service, which result in what is known as satisfaction. So that's the definition, right? Social managerial process whereby value is created. And then when value is created, it is then exchanged, the product and the money. So that's basically marketing, the definition of marketing according to Philip Kotler. So another definition is it is the process of identifying and anticipating. So the process of identifying and anticipation, it is that social process because it involves the interaction of the organization and the customer. And then meeting the needs. Now, meeting those needs is basically the managerial process because it is the strategies that are then used to ensure that the value is received by the customers, right? And then at a profit. If anything that you're doing doesn't involve profit, then it can no longer be called marketing. That's why I say that marketing is business. And the purpose of existence of any organization is profit. So if you substitute, if you remove profit from the definition of marketing, then it cannot be marketing. In the first definition that I gave, the profit is value, the creation of value and the exchange of value. So once I obtain value, it means I'm getting profit as an organization, and also the customer is deriving benefit from that particular product. Right. So that's basically what is known as marketing. Right. Now, you don't just wake up in the morning and then say that I'm going to do marketing. Right. Like I gave you my motto, good marketing, it is not by accident, but it involves careful planning. So marketing involves certain dynamics, right? It involves certain elements for it to be called marketing. Right. So there's what is known as a marketing process. So this is what we will try to break down. And I think tonight we'll be able to touch on maybe the first three elements within the marketing process. Right. So the first one here, like you can see in this box, is understanding the marketplace and customer needs and wants. So before you venture into marketing, right, if you want to start marketing, you must be able to understand the marketplace. You cannot just manufacture a product and expect that product to be accepted by a market that you don't even know. So it's very imperative that you understand first the marketplace. You have to understand the customer needs. You have to understand the customer wants. So that's very important. So there are two aspects that are involved in this step. Number one, the marketplace. Number two, customer needs and wants, right? So you must be able to understand the marketplace. So let's try to break down this particular element, the first element of the marketing process, which is understanding the marketplace and consumer needs and wants. So let's try to maybe define what is a market so that we can all understand what is it to understand the marketplace. So let's first understand basically what is a market. So a market is defined as various groupings of customers, right? Or buyers. That's basically a market. So if somebody says that I have to find a marketplace, I have to find a market first before I can sell these products, what is simply saying is that I have to find customers. So if a market is simply a group of customers, right? That's what is known as a market. And then a marketplace. So a marketplace is simply a place where buyers and sellers meet so that a transaction can take place, so that there can be an exchange of value. So a market is a grouping of customers, but a marketplace, it can be physical. If you go to ShopRite becomes a marketplace because that's where a buyer and a seller are meeting. It is a place where a buyer and a seller are meeting. A marketplace can be digital, right? You can buy your products and take a lot, right? You do it online. So the marketplace is online, right? So basically where the buyer and the seller meet, that's what we call a marketplace. So you need to understand, try to mute your mics, please, so that I don't get distracted. It's important that you mute your mics. So that's basically what is known as a marketplace. I'm just trying to make you understand a marketplace because that's the first element, right? So if we say market, we're talking about the customers. So once you know your customers, it is easy for you to basically understand their needs and basically their wants. Okay, okay, don't worry about the issues of the slides. James will take care of it, right? For now, let's just focus on the module. The other administrative stuff, I believe James will take care of it, right? So now let's continue, right? So the market that we've just identified, right, which I call, the grouping of customers, right? It is divided into four categories, or should I say there are four types of markets, right? Now there's what is known as the consumer market, there's what is known as the business market, the global market, and the non-profit and governmental market, right? So let's talk about the consumer market first, right? So the word consumer, it comes from the word consume. Now to consume is maybe to to destroy something. If you eat something, it means you're destroying it, you're consuming it, right? You're making it disappear, you're making it vanish. That is basically to consume. So a consumer market, we are talking about that individual, right, who consumes a product. You go and buy a product so that he can consume it. Right. So a consumer market is a market when individuals purchase products or services for their own personal use. Right. So what I'm simply trying to say is that when you go and buy bread in ShopRite, you are a consumer because you are not going to resell that bread. Once you resell that bread, you are no longer a consumer. So a consumer is a person who buys something for their own consumption. They don't resell it. Once you resell it, you become a customer. Now, there's a difference between a consumer and a customer. It can be used interchangeably, but in this context, a customer can be a consumer. A customer can also not be a consumer, because a consumer is a person who buys a product for their own consumption. So they don't buy for resale. So it becomes a consumer market. ShopRite is a consumer market because it sells stuff to consumers that use those products for their own consumption, for their own use, so that they don't resell, right? So example is a company sells its products to the final consumer. So that's a consumer market. And then you've got a business market. So a business market, it's more like a customer. You are buying certain goods for resale. For example, you have wholesalers. Now, wholesalers, some shops, let's say ShopRite, it goes and buy maybe sunlight products, right? Or it goes and buy whatever products from a wholesaler so that they can resell these products to a consumer market. So a business market, it is when an organization buys products from another organization so that they can resell. So that's a business market, right? A wholesaler sells products to a retailer, right? And then you have got what is known as the global markets. Now, the global markets, these are markets that are beyond the borders of a country, right? They are outside South Africa. So it is the market in which goods and services of one country are traded, right? To trade is to purchase or sell, right? To other people of other countries, right? So it's being sold beyond the borders of South Africa, right? So that's what? A global market. For example, you have companies such as Mercedes-Benz. Now, Mercedes-Benz has got a global market because it supplies its products. Remember, Mercedes-Benz is from Germany, but then it sells its cars to various markets in the world. South Africa is one of the global market of Mercedes-Benz, right? Because the headquarters of Mercedes-Benz is in Germany. So it supplies its products here in South Africa. It becomes a global market because it is selling its products beyond the borders of Germany. So that becomes a global market, right? And then we have the last one, which is known as the non-profit and governmental markets. Now, a government market is basically where the main buyers are the governmental organizations, right? They purchase goods or services from private businesses to provide services to the country's citizens. So if a government wants something, I think to those that are into tenders, right, they can actually put an advert in the newspaper and a request for a quotation. Some they call it RFQs, request for quotation. So they would request for quotations from suppliers of the particular product that they want. So that's a governmental market, right? They can maybe advertise a tender that we need a supply of chairs, right? 100 chairs. And then different suppliers would actually submit their bids, right? Some they call it the BOQs, the bill of quantities, where they can be able to see which supply is the best in terms of the price, etc. So these are non-profit and governmental markets where the government or these non-profit organizations are the buyers of that particular market, right? So example here, invitation to quotations or tenders by government. That's what constitutes this particular market. So these are basically the four categories of of markets. What am I trying to do here? I'm just trying to make you understand the marketplace, because like what James has said, these modules are meant to upskill you, right, to become managers. So for you to be a manager of something, you must be able to understand what it is. So you have to understand these markets, because you are going to be selling maybe in those markets. Maybe you're going to be an exporter. Maybe you're going to be selling products in another countries. So you must be able to know the global markets. Maybe you're going to be involved in tenders. You must be able to know the governmental markets. Maybe you're going to be a wholesaler selling to a retailer, right? So you have to understand the business market. Or maybe you'll be just a consumer who just go and buy stuff for your own consumption. You need to understand the consumer market. So these constitute the understanding of the marketplace. So that's the first element of the marketing process. Let's understand our marketplace. What is our marketplace? Is it the global market? Is it the consumer market? Is it the government markets, or is it the global market? Right. So once we understand the marketplace, we also have to understand, the needs and the wants of consumers. So there's what is known as the 5 core customer and marketplace concepts. So these concepts, they assist us to understand the needs of our consumers. So it's very important in marketing, because for you to understand, yes, as long as the market is beyond the borders, it is a global market. Right. So that's what global market entails. You are selling products beyond the borders. So it's no longer a local market, it becomes an international market. Right. So it's yes, it is a global market, even if it is a single country. Right. So basically, we also have to understand the needs of the customers, because marketing entails, understanding the needs. We need to anticipate, we need to identify. So that's the social process now. We need to identify the needs of our customers, right? So we need to understand what are needs, what are wants. We need to differentiate them. What are demands, right? So we need to know these things. Now needs, when you're talking about the needs, we're talking about the desires of what a customer cannot do without. So these are the things that a person, a human being, cannot do without. A human being cannot do without food. A human being cannot do without clothes. A human being cannot do without shelter. So these are the needs. It's something that you can't do without. That's the needs. And then wants. once it is something that you want, but you can do without it, right? It's something that you wish for, but you can do without it. Right. Let me give an example between a need and a want. So when you are hungry, obviously you need food. You have to buy food that will make that hunger to go away. That's a need. But when you go and buy chocolate, when you go and buy maybe ice cream, right? If it is dessert, it's no longer a need, it is a want, because you can do without chocolate. But then when it comes to foods, just like, like pap that you eat, over sap and stuff, this is a need, because you need to quench, to remove that hunger. If you are thirsty, you need water, it's a need. But then if you go and buy cool drink or juice, that becomes a want. You can do without juice, but you can't do without water. So that's the difference between a need and a want, right? And then a demand. Now, demand is human wants that are backed by buying power. You can't make a demand without some form of authority. You can't come and say, I demand this, when you don't have authority. So the buying power of customers, it gives them that impetus to make demands. So if I have money, it means that I have the authority to make a demand. So that's what a demand entails, right? If I can give you an example, if you see people going to protest, maybe for poor service delivery, it means they've got the authority somewhere. The authority is their right. So they are demanding because their demand is backed up by some form of authority. The authority is their rights that is provided in the Constitution. So demand comes with authority. So in this case, our authority is the money, the buying power, right? So we can demand and say, we don't want this kind of a product. It is of poor quality, right? If you don't provide me with that, I'll go to another seller. You have got authority. So that is demand. So you need to understand all these things. What are the needs? What are the wants? And the demand. The demand, you are looking at the attractiveness of the market. Do the people that are in that particular market, do they have the disposable income to buy this product? So you need to have an understanding of that, right? So that's the first core concept, right? The second core concept is the market offering. Now, the word offer is self-explanatory. What are you providing to the market? That's what it simply means, right? It is what a business provides to customers to meet their needs or wants. It is the products now that you are providing. That's what market offering simply means, right? So you need to understand your offering. Does my offering meet the needs of the consumers? Are the needs of and wants of my consumers, are these needs being fulfilled with my market offerings? So it is the combination of products and services, right, and experience offered to the market to satisfy a need or a want, right? So that's a market offering. You need to understand that as well as part of understanding the marketplace and consumer needs, wants, and demands, right? And then the third one is value and satisfaction. Now, I did define what value is. Value is basically the benefit that a customer derives from a particular product.
James, are we allowed to ask question, or should we wait for the last slides before we can interact with you?
It's fine, you can ask. It's fine.
Okay. Can you kindly repeat the marketing offering? I was a bit confused there. If then you can simplify it for me, please.
Market offering is simply a product. It is a product or a service. What a business is offering to the market.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is a product or a service in simple terms.
Thank you.
No, you are allowed to interject if there's any need. You want to ask a question, it's fine, you can interject. I don't have a problem with that. Right. So value and satisfaction, I've actually explained that value is basically, the benefit that a customer derives from buying a certain offering, if I can put it that way, a certain product, a service. That's basically value. And then satisfaction, obviously, it is when that product meets the expectation of that particular customer. So that's value and satisfaction. So you must be able to understand if your product is giving value to that customer, right? So once that product gives value to that customer, it ultimately satisfies them. So customer satisfaction, it is basically meeting the expectations of that particular market. That's value and satisfaction, right? And then we have what is known also as exchange and relationships, right? That's why on my definition, I say that, there's an exchange of value. So it's important that you provide value, and then in the provision of value, you also get value in exchange. So once both parties are satisfied, there is now a building of relationships. Now that's part of the social process, because social process is interaction. So once you interact with customers, once you provide them exactly what they need, there is an establishment of a good relationship. So what the relationship does is that it creates loyalty. So once a customer is loyal to you, it's difficult for that customer to go to another competitor. You remain with you. So it is important that you understand these dynamics when you're doing your marketing. It is part of understanding the marketplace and the customer needs. Because in terms of the customer needs at once you have established that relationship, it is going to benefit you because that customer is going to be loyal to you. So these are the marketing concepts, right? Under the understanding marketing, understanding the marketplace that we need to understand, right? And then the other one is markets, which we have basically explained what is a market, right? And you say that market, it is basically a group of buyers and sellers. So it's very important that you understand who you are going to sell your products to. So that's markets. It is the set of all actual potential buyers of a product or a service. So that's basically what a market is, right? So basically, that's the first step in terms of understanding the marketplace. So we've tried to break down the different terms, right, that constitute the marketplace and the customer needs and wants, right? So once we've exhausted this particular element, then we go to the second element, which is basically this customer value driven marketing strategy. So before maybe I talk about that, if there's anyone with a question, you can ask before I do this, before we go straight into the second element. Right. So basically, the second element here is customer value driven marketing strategy. So this step number 2 is all about designing a customer driven value marketing strategy, right? So as a marketing oriented company, you must make sure that your strategy is informed by the needs and wants and demands of customers. So we are taking it from the first element, right? You have understood your marketplace, you have understood your customers. So whatever that you're going to provide to those customers, it must be informed by the needs and wants of this particular customer. So it becomes a customer value driven, because you're making sure that you're giving them value, you're giving them exactly what they need. So what constitutes a customer value driven marketing strategy? Now we'll explain this in detail, I think in Unit 6. That's where there's a topic specifically for this. So here we'll just go through it so that you just have an idea of what it is, right? So basically, in terms of the customer value-driven marketing strategy, the first thing that you need to do is to select your customers, right? So you identify customers who will buy your products or services. Because when you have a product, you cannot just manufacture a product without knowing who will accept that product. So you first identify your customers if you are to design a customer value-driven marketing strategy. So you'll see in Unity 6, we're going to be coming up with strategies of selecting these customers. But for now, we'll end here, right? So number 2 is choosing value proposition, right? Through differentiation and positioning. We're going to be talking about the strategies of differentiation and also position. But obviously, what we are simply saying here is that value proposition, we are trying to come up with something that is of superior value, right? And that satisfies the customer. So differentiation is basically making your product standing out, right? Making your product to be distinct, to be different. If you take, for example, Apple, they've got different designs, right? In terms of their iPhones. The designs of Apple, they're different from Samsung. So they've stood out because of that. What are they trying to do? They are choosing value proposition. They are giving an extra value. So that is value proposition. It is an extra that they are providing. That extra is different from other manufacturers such as Samsung. So that's choosing value proposition. And then positioning simply means that you are positioning the product in the positive minds of customers, because marketing is all about psychology. So what you need to do is just to try to manipulate the minds of the people so that they believe that if you think about phones, you can only think about Apple, because Apple has produced quality product. So Apple has positioned the product in the positive minds of customers. So if Apple introduces a new phone, that phone, even if it's expensive, people will simply buy it, right? They will not think twice. Why? Because they've positioned the product in the positive minds. They've actually manipulated the minds of people. So that's choosing value proposition, right? And then we have issues such as providing value, right? Right? So there's going to be product price. You choose the product quality, the price that you're going to charge, a place where it is convenient for customers to access the product, the promotion, which is the communication. How are you going to communicate, things like advertising, etc. We'll discuss also this in detail in the next topics, right? So still on the designing of a customer-driven value strategy, there's what is known as management orientation, right? So we also have to understand management orientation. What is orientation? We're simply talking about a philosophy, right, that a company has. Everyone has got their own philosophy, right? Their own thinking, right? If I can put it in a simple way, it is management thinking, how they think, the way that they think in terms of producing or supplying the product. So that's basically management orientation. So there's what is known as, I'm supposed to be done by 10 to, right? There's what is known as production orientation, right? So what is production orientation? So it is a philosophy of production, of producing. So consumers, right? That's the philosophy of the management. Their thinking is that consumers will favor products that are readily available and highly affordable. If you look, for example, Coca-Cola, they've got a production orientation. They've got production philosophy. Their focus is only on producing as more beverages as possible and distributed to as many outlets as possible. That's why if you go into any shop, whether it is the service station, whether it is the spaza shop. Even if you go to any rural area, you will see the products of Coca-Cola there. Why is that? They've got a production orientation, production philosophy. They are focused in producing more and delivering more at an affordable price. Because generally, buying Coke is not that expensive. So that becomes production orientation, right? So there's also what is known as product orientation. Now, or product concept. Now, product orientation or product concept, we are not only, or we are not focusing much on producing quantity, but we are focusing on producing quality. So the focus here is not on the production. The focus is on the quality of the product. So some companies, that's their philosophy. That's their orientation. What they do is we're not going to produce a lot of these things, but our focus in producing the best quality product. An example is Apple, right? The products of Apple they've got exceptional quality. They've got unique features. They've got outstanding performance because their focus is on the product concept. That's their philosophy. So that's product concept. And then you have what is known as the selling concept. So some companies have got selling concept. That's their philosophy. Now, what is selling concept? It is just a business idea that mainly focus on persuading customers to buy a product. So these people, they don't go and ask the customers first if they are to make this product. They just produce a product and then aggressively sell that product. They will make people.
Hi, Jabulani.
Yes.
Yes. Your voice is cracking. Can't hear you. It's cutting off. Then I hear you, then cut off again. I don't know if others experience the same thing.
No, we good. Maybe it's your connectivity.
Can you try at least reiterate to other part?
Okay, which part didn't you get? Hello?
The first part where you started addressing the management orientation. Yeah.
Hey, okay, let me summarize.
Let me summarize.
Because I'll be going way. No, I was saying management orientation, it's simply a philosophy that an organization had, right? And then I think I spoke about the production concept or the production philosophy, whereby an organization only focuses on producing a lot of quantities for their products and making sure that they are available in as many shops as possible. And then I gave an example of Coca-Cola. And I said, Coca-Cola, you can find it in any shop, whether it is in the rural areas, whether it is in the spaza shops, whether it is at ShopRite, whether it is in the service station, because they have a production philosophy, right? Their focus is on producing a lot of quantities. And then we have what is known as the product concept. The product concept is different from the production concept because they are not focusing on quantity, but they're focusing on quality. So their focus is on producing an innovative product, right? And I gave an example of Apple. Apple doesn't produce a lot of phones, right? But they produce quality phones because their focus is on the quality of the product. So their philosophy is on the product quality. So that's what is known as a product concept. And then I was on the selling concept, right? Which I was saying that these are the people that maybe produce a product without even consulting the market and then aggressively sell, right, that product so that people can easily accept it. And an example of companies that are involved in the selling concept is the insurance companies. You can see how they aggressively sell their insurance products, right? They call people, they without even, people don't even know where they get those contacts. They call the people, they try to convince you, please buy this product. I think you've seen even on SABC, there's this guy called, I forgot the name, Desmond Dube, right? He advertises Asupo, that funeral company. You see, they aggressively sell. He even tell you that, I think there's a statement that he makes. He said, people always buy KFC, but then they forget to buy their insurance policy. What will happen when they die? You know, it gives people, it makes people to be under pressure. That's a selling concept. You aggressively sell. You produce a product first without consulting the market, and then try to aggressively sell it so that people can accept it. So that's what a selling concept, right? And then you have also what is known as the marketing concept. That's what I was explaining all along. This is when a company ensures that it focuses on understanding the needs of customers. So they don't produce a product anyhow. They have to listen to what the customers are saying. And then after that, that's when they would sell. So they don't, so they make what the customer wants. They don't just sell what they have. So it's different from a selling concept. A selling concept only sell what you have. You don't have to make what the customer wants, but you just sell what you have. But in the marketing concept, you are selling what a customer wants, right? And then you have also what is known as the societal concept, which is basically the last one, right? So the societal market, we're saying that, you know, a company focuses on meeting customer needs. It doesn't only focus on meeting customer needs, but it ensures that whatever activities that it is doing, it benefits the society and the environment, right? So you look at maybe companies such as Betway. Now, Betway, it is sponsoring the Premier Soccer League of South Africa, right? They are not just doing it for fun. It is societal marketing. What they're simply trying to do is they are plowing back to the community, and at the same time, they are actually indirectly making people to be loyal to them. DSTV used to do that. They used to sponsor the Premier Soccer League. It's societal marketing. It is a form of public relations, whereby you are saying, I am also catering for the community, right? I'm sponsoring soccer, and thousands of, or if not millions of South Africans, they love soccer. So obviously, because there are people are being entertained because of DSTV or Betway, they in a way become loyal to this particular one. So that's societal marketing. You are not only meeting the needs, but you're also trying to engage in activities that benefit the society, right? So basically, for tonight, we can end here. I think we've touched on about two concepts, right? So if there's anyone with a question, you can ask, and we can, you know, try to, you know, answer. So is there anyone with a question?
What would be a typical question from the examination or from our lecture that we might expect when we setting up in, you know, the examinations?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's quite a it's too early, but this what I've been explaining about this management orientation, I think they were there last semester in the paper for last semester. They asked about this concept. I think it's 5 of them, which is the production, product selling, and it was there in the so it is an examinable area, especially the management orientation. It's very important that you, but basically this topic number 1, like I said, it is laying the foundation. That's why you will see when you go to topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, whatever we are saying here will be just taking it from what we have said now, right? Another, if are you answered before? Some can also, I can see there are people that have raised.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah. I see people raising hands, so you can ask.
Hi, Jabulani.
Yeah.
I've just got a question, right?
Yeah.
Just in terms of examples, in the sort of production concept or production approach, would you then say, I don't know if you're familiar with the Chinese goods mall mart, so in every major city you get like what we call a China mall. So there's like bulk items that sell for a fraction of what you'd pay at a normal retail store, right? Would you I don't know, just look at that as an example, a good example of the production concept?
Yeah, it can apply to the production concept. Remember, the production is centered much on availability, which is quantity, and
Yeah.
also a reasonable price and also a lower price. So you can basically see that. I gave an example of Coca-Cola because Coca-Cola is everywhere, and an average person can actually afford. So once the product is readily available in large quantities and at a very low price, you can see that the orientation or the philosophy of the retailer or the producer is a production oriented philosophy whereby they want to make the product readily available at an affordable price. So
So
I
it's
would
not necessarily like a bad approach, because I mean, if there's still organizations or industries that still thrive using that approach, so it's not necessarily bad, right?
no, it's not. That's why they're actually adopting that philosophy, because it's actually working for them. So it's not a bad approach as long as it is working for them. It's not a bad approach.
Okay.
It's just that different organizations have got different ways of thinking. So like I gave an example of Coca-Cola, that's their way of thinking, saying no, let's just make this readily available. The more we produce, the more people buy, even if the price is low, but we're going to have quick returns. So more people are going to buy, we're going to have quick returns. So it's not a bad approach.
Okay, I'll save my question because I've got many questions. I'll save them for other sessions. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but thank you.
Okay, it's fine. Ask me a lot of questions as we go along. I think after we are done with this, I think topic
Sorry.
number one.
Yeah, sorry, can I before you go, because I think James is still here. If say we have a question, like we go through the material and then maybe there's just something that needs just a little bit of clarification. Do I wait for the next class, or can I text you or text James, just to get a clarification on a particular topic before class? Do we have that service?
You can send, usually, if possible, send the question in the group so that it benefits everyone when it gets a response. But you can text me. That is
No,
very
no,
good.
in the group. I'm fine with the group because then at least
Yeah.
you're right. If it helps everybody else, it's super.
Yeah,
Okay,
feel free to
fantastic.
text in the group. And
Yeah.
then whenever I don't respond to you guys in the group, that's the reason why we have a cell number. You can always call. Sometimes I might have missed your message. So always feel free to text in the group. And then if you don't get a response in the group, just give me a call and then I'll attend
Okay.
to it.
All right. Great stuff. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys
You-
for coming through today. It's just that I've got another class that I need to attend to, so I have to leave now. But Jabu,
Yes,
did you have anything
I'm
else
here.
to say?
Can you please share the slide,
Okay.
man?
All right, I'll do that. I'll share
All
the
right.
slides.
Thanks, bye.
All
No, I
right.
just wanted to say, just to respond to this other, if you have something maybe burning that you need to ask, you can write it down. And once we have a session here, you can also ask me, you can ask James, it's fine. But even if when we are here, you can also ask me. You're welcome to ask any question, and then we can try to clarify anything that you need to be clarified.
All right. Thank you. Then we have got another session on Thursday, guys. So I will see you on Thursday. If you've got any questions for me, send me a WhatsApp message or give me a call tomorrow in the morning. But otherwise, let's meet on Thursday evening for business finance. Thank you. It's at 8 o'clock.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.